Evan here from MyoLab. Today we're going to talk about hip 90-90. Why the hip 90-90? Well, hip 90-90s are fantastic for getting increased hip mobility. At the end of the day, if your hips are tight, that's when you're going to start to notice lower back tension or pain. So a lot of our members, when they come in talking about back pain, we really need to go down and check out the hips. First, let's do an entire demo, and then we're going to break it down in more depth. All right, so now that we have Dan here joining us, we're gonna get you into a nice 90-90 position, Dan. So if you go ahead, get into this similar position. Awesome. Great, so first and foremost, when most people get into this position, we start to see that they'll start to tilt into your left side. So I want you to imagine you have a barbell across your back like you're doing a big squat, so you wanna get that nice and even and neutral. Otherwise, it's gonna crush your left hip. So naturally, just by doing that, you're gonna start to feel some tension in that right side hip in this case. Now, how we're going to begin this exercise, as we are in 90-90, that means through the hip and the knee, 90 degrees. If you have any pain through your knee, I want you to try a different angle. It might be greater, it might be smaller, whatever feels better for you. Now that we have Dan in this position with no pain, we're going to start with an isometric activity here. This means as Dan is loading into that right hip, he is pushing the inside part of his right shin to the ground as hard as he possibly can. Dan, go ahead and press down as hard as you can, getting that inner shin there. We're gonna do this for 10 seconds. Maximal effort is gonna help us fatigue the external rotators. Now he should feel a pretty deep stretch and an activation, in fact, through that right hip. Once that 10 seconds is up, he's gonna slightly shift his weight into the left hip, keep that right knee pinned down, and raise the right foot. This is when your foot's gonna feel like it's 1,000 pounds. You're moving about an inch, and that's okay. Hold that for 5 seconds and slowly bring it back down. Remember, when we bring the muscles back down, that's just as important as activating them. And it's okay, it's common to get a hip cramp through this the entire time too. That's quite normal, our hips are tight. Now Dan, we're gonna do this for 10 reps here. For demonstration purposes, let's do one more. Press down for 10 seconds. Hard as you can, really activating that right hip. Good. Relax it. Shift your weight to your left side so it's even possible to raise. Pin the right knee. Raise the right foot. High as you can. 5 seconds. Bring it back down. Now, in order to get to the other side, Dan's going to show us how you pin both of your heels down to the ground, activate your core, and transition to the other hip. As Dan is doing this, we want to make sure, just like he's doing, you keep that back up as tight as you can, the core engaged. Again, we don't want to trade a hip issue for another lower back issue. Now that we have Dan on this position, he's actually going to be, again, set up like he's doing a back squat. Loading into that left hip, feeling that little tension burn there. Pressing down on the left inside of the shin. 10 seconds, maximal effort. Relaxing it. Shifting his weight to the right hip to allow him to raise the left side up while he keeps the knee pinned down. As you can see, there's that little bit of lift there. It's a very challenging exercise. And again, you will probably notice some hip cramping the first time. Now nice and relaxed there. A nice progression for this as you start to get some really nice activation is we're gonna get him to do that exact same thing again. You're gonna be raising the leg up. And then Dan, I'm gonna get you to grab your left foot as you raise that left leg up to bring it into a little bit higher range of motion. Now, as you're doing this, it's important that you're actually trying as hard as you can to keep that leg up. What you can see here is Dan has more range available to him, but we need to train that. So then as we bring it back down, nice and slow, he's activating the entire time, and I can tell you he's feeling that right now as well. Now, some common errors that we're gonna see, when somebody goes to lift this down leg, they suddenly squash that entire side. That helps them try to lift it up a little bit higher, but again, obviously that's not a good situation there. Another common error is people doing this through pain. If you have pain through that knee, again, change your angle. More, less, anything like that. You can also go ahead and put a cushion, a pillow, underneath your down hip if this position itself is too difficult for you. Now, how about exercise dosage? Well, your practitioner may specify a correct number of reps and sets for you based on your individual case. But generally speaking, if we're in phase 1 rehab, that's when we're trying to turn on a muscle that's been inactive. We want to do this until you feel that nice muscular burn. That means the muscle's working. If we're past phase 1 and into phase 2, which means we're out of pain and we're building strength now, we want to make sure we're going to technical failure. Well, what's technical failure? That occurs when you can no longer do the correct form, or you essentially have done some of those errors that we just discussed. Conversely, you might actually do this to 25 reps and feel no issues at all. That means it's time to progress this to a more difficult exercise. Do you have any questions? Great. Leave us a comment below, message us on Instagram, or send us an email at info@myolab.ca.